Assalamu alaikum friends, I am Areeb, Rashid and welcome to the Scientific Miracles of Quran, episode 18. So in this episode, I'll prove that Quran mentions the nociceptors, the external nociceptors in the skin. The Quran mentions that the pain receptors are in our skin 1400 years ago. So let's begin. In 1906, Charles Scott Sherrington for the first time ever discovered the nociceptors, meaning he for the first time ever discovered the external and internal pain receptors, nociceptors, in 1906. Now, before Charles Scott Sherrington discovered the nociceptors, pain receptors, scientists believed that the pain is a kind of disturbance in our brain. Whenever we feel pain, the brain is responsible for it. Before 1906, when Charles Scott Sherrington discovered the nociceptors. One example is in 1644. In 1644, Jean Descartes theorized that the pain was a disturbance that passed along nerve fibers until the disturbance reached the brain. So it proves that before 1906, before Charles Scott Sherrington discovered the nociceptors, scientists used to believe that the pain which we feel is in our brain. Whenever we feel pain, the brain is responsible for our pain. But of course, in 1906, Charles Scott Sherrington discovered the external and internal nociceptors. The internal nociceptors are in our organs. And the external nociceptors are in our skin. So whenever we feel pain, when we get hit by something or whenever we are burned, then our external nociceptors are responsible for it. So meaning if our nociceptors are destroyed, then we won't be able to feel pain at all. Now what are nociceptors? Nociceptor is a sensory neuron that responds to damaging or potentially damaging stimuli by sending possible threat signals to the spinal cord and the brain. Meaning if whenever we feel pain, our nociceptors, meaning pain receptors, are responsible for our pain. So they send signal to our brain through our spinal cord. So it means if our nociceptors are destroyed, then we won't be able to feel pain at all because they won't be able to send signals to our brain. So whenever we feel pain, either inside of our body or on our skin, it's always due to the internal and external nociceptors. But we are talking about the external nociceptors in our skin. For example, whenever there is a first degree burn in our skin, so a doctor puts a needle-like object in the skin to test that whether the patient feels pain or not. If the patient feels pain, then it means his nociceptors, meaning the pain receptors, are working. So the sinus is happy. So if there is a, for example, third degree burn to the skin, so whenever a doctor puts a needle-like object on the skin, so if the patient does not feel pain, it means the pain receptors or nociceptors are destroyed. So the scientist is sad because the patient's nociceptors are destroyed on that specific part where he got the third degree burn. So it means the nociceptors won't be able to send signals to our brain. Nociceptive pain is caused by a stimulation of sensory nerve fiber that respond to stimuli approaching or exceeding harmful intensity. Nociceptors. It means the nociceptive pain, which we feel pain, travels through the sensory nerve fibers through it, and then it reaches to the spinal cord, and then it sends signal through the spinal cord to the brain. Then our brain responds to our pain. This whole process is called nociception. Now, what is nociception? Nociception is the sensory nervous system's process of encoding noxious stimuli. So whenever we feel pain, the nociceptors are responsible for it. Then they send signals to our brain through the spinal cord, through the sensory nerve fibers, and then to the spinal cord. And then our brain reacts to our pain. So if the nociceptors, meaning the pain receptors, are destroyed, so we won't be able to feel pain at all, either in our skin or inside our organs. But Quran mentions 1400 years ago nociceptors. Quran mentions nociceptors in the skin, in our skin, pain receptors in our skin 1400 years ago, in the 7th century. For example, in Quran, Surah Nisa, chapter number 4, verse number 56, which says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سَوْفَ نُصْلِهِمْ نَارًا كُلَّمَا نَضِجَتْ جُلُودُهُمْ بَدَّلْنَاهُمْ جُلُودًا غَيْرَهَا لِيَذُوقُوا الْعَذَابَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَزِيزًا حَكِيمًا. So let me translate it. Surely those who disbelieve in our revelations, we will condemn them to the hellfire. Whenever their skins are burned, we will give them new skins. Thus they will suffer continuously. God is Almighty, Most Wise. So there are two key words in this verse. The first one is, whenever their skins are burned. This is the first keyword. And the second keyword is, we will give them new skins. So now you will say that where does the Quran mentions the pain receptors? Quran gives us a hint that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain. Like I said, let me repeat the verse. Whenever their skins are burnt, we will give them new skins so that they will suffer in it continuously. So Quran gives us hint that there's something in our skin that causes us to feel pain. There's something in our skin that produces pain for us. Meaning Quran is giving us the hint that there's something in our skin, the external nociceptors, which causes us to feel pain. So now how could a human living 1400 years ago in the 7th century could have just known that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain. Now, like I said, until 1906, even the scientists thought that our brain is responsible for our pain. But Quran was revealed in 7th century to Prophet Muhammad 1400 years ago in the desert of Arabia. So how would a human living way before that 1906 in 7th century in the desert of Arabia could have known that there is something in our skin that produces pain for us. There is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain. So how about a human living 1400 years ago, way before then Charles Scott Sherrington was even born, way before then he proposed nociceptors in 1906. How about a human living way before then Charles Scott Sherrington could have known that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain? Of course, a human living 1400 years ago in the 7th century could not even have give this hint that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain, because until 1906 even the scientists didn't believe that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain. Until 1906 even the scientists thought that the brain is responsible for our pain. So how could a human living way before that 1906 in the 7th century in the desert of Arabia could have known that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain? Of course, a human could not have given that much hint. Of course, a human couldn't have known this fact. So I proved that Quran mentions the nociceptors, the pain receptors in our skin. Quran mentions that there is something in our skin that causes us to feel pain, that produces us to feel pain. And I've proved that Quran is the word of God. It is truly the word of God. So I'll see you in my next Scientific Miracles of Quran episode. Allah Hafiz.